Hello and welcome to another OutPower tutorial for Microsoft PowerApps. In this tutorial we're going to explore how we can create a Canvas type application that fetches its data from an SQL database. We'll go through the database catalog, how to import the tables, a few fine-tunes on the application layout, and more. With that in mind, let's go check how we can do this. A quick briefing on what we're going to do. On this tutorial, we're using Azure Services to provide a serverless database that will host our database catalog. A quick note on Azure SQL Database Serverless. This is a tier for single databases that automatically scales its computation capabilities based on the workload demand. This tier also automatically pauses databases during inactive periods and automatically resumes databases when the activity returns. To design our database, we use Microsoft SQL Server Management Studio that we connected to the Azure SQL server. After we were happy with the DB, we went on to the PowerApps console and created our Canvas application by selecting as its source data the SQL connector. For our demo, the database takes the following shape. We have a project and its type. And as you can see, these tables already have some data that is ready to be used by our app. Now let's jump over to our PowerApps console. To do that, let's navigate to the make.powerapps.com. In the PowerApps console, in the section Start from Data, let's select SQL. If this is not available, you can choose other data sources, and in there select the new connection and provide the necessary data to establish the connection. In our case, since we are using Azure Services, we are going to use one connection that we had previously defined. One thing that is annoying is when we start our app in this manner, we are only allowed to select one table at the start. Later on, we will add the remaining ones. For now, we select our starting table and hit Connect. You might have to tweak the firewall or Azure access rules to allow Microsoft Power Apps to access the database. This will start the build of our base application. It will give us a base app where we will be able to list, view, edit, and delete records for the base table that we selected. One thing you might notice is that it created the screens with the base generated name. You might want to change those to something that makes more sense to you. As we mentioned on the previous tutorial, if you move one element, it repeats the change for the other ones. Selecting one of the information labels, you can see on the top bar that it refers to this item in the gallery and refers to the column information. As before, we can edit the layout of the screen. For now, let's go with the layout that gives us the name and the project type. Let's also add a title. In this case, we use double quotes because it will be literal. And for now, let's leave the listing as it is. Let's run our app and see what we got. In our listing, we have the search, the sort, and we are able to either navigate to the Create screen or View screen. On the View screen, we have the information of our record, the ability to delete the record, and the possibility to navigate to the Edit screen. On the Edit screen, similar, but with the possibility to change the values. One thing that you probably have already noticed is that for project type we have a number instead of something like project management. To change that, we select the field and change it to allowed values type. As you are doing this, if something goes wrong, you can always remove it and add it again. Now we have a drop-down box, but the data is still not showing as we would like. To be able to do that, we add a new data connection. Go to View, then Data Sources, and here you see the connection that we already have, and we select Add New Data Connection. After that, we select the tables that we wish to bring into our application. In here, we can do a multiple selection of tables, but for now let's just select the project type. With this, we have all the data that is necessary to be able to finish our drop-down box. Selecting the drop-down box in the Edit screen, we see that it is associated with the value parent.allowedValues. We're going to change this to use a function with the name showColumns. This function fetches data from a table, but only for the columns that we specify. So in our case, we're going to write showColumns for the project type, bring the name ID and the ID. Our drop-down box now shows all the possible values for the project type, but it's still not picking up the project type for this record. For that, we need to select the card of the drop-down box and change the function to update, and as you can see, it is passing the selected value, but that is not correct. What we actually want is to pass the project type ID. With this, we now are able to update the value, but as we return to the edit screen, it still won't pick up the correct value. To fix that, we need to make use of another function, known as lookup. To do that, let's select the drop-down box, go to default, and change its value to lookup function. It should look something like this. Okay, breaking this a bit. We are using a function lookup that fetches data from the table project type, with the condition that its ID should match the project type that is present on this form, and it should return the value for the name of the project type. Let's copy this expression and apply it in the details screen and list. Since we're here, let's check how the delete is being made. If we take a look at the function, as you can see, it starts by doing a remove, and then it's followed by a semicolon. The semicolon is used to represent the batch that we want to execute, so reading this expression, the app is going to remove the record. If there is an error, it shows, else it navigates back to the previous screen. Okay, now on to the last bit that we're going to do on this app, and that is to provide a proper title for the detail and edit screen. And make sure the order of the fields is to our liking. In the detail screen, we select the title and change it to show the project name. To do that, we need to point to the gallery that exists on the project list. So let's type the following expression. On the edit screen, let's take it to another level. Let's take into account if we are creating or editing a new record. For that, in the edit screen, after selecting the title, we use an if statement to evaluate if the form of the page is in edit mode or not. If it is, we write the project name. If not, we write new project. So it should look something like this. If edit form 1 mode equals to form mode edit, so if the form is in edit, we show edit and the project name. Otherwise, we show new project. After that, let's do a quick demo to see what we have ended up with. With that, we wrap up today's tutorial. Now you should be able to use your SQL databases to create simple applications and fine-tune your screens a little bit more. Thank you very much for watching, and please join us next time for more OutPower tutorials. See you soon.